rockers, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you're all doing really well. I am coming at you today from a completely empty room in my new unfurnished apartment in Brighton. So we're currently in the process of trying to bulk it out, but for right now, this room, which I'm very excited to say, is going to be, for the first time in all of my time living alone, I am going to have my own filming, streaming, everything room. So I have this big space to work with. I'm gonna put my streaming setup in here. By the way, live streams are going to be coming back very soon. We're gonna be doing our daily hour-long live streams again, which I'm very excited for. I wanna create like a bunch of different backgrounds. I feel like it would be really fun to maybe do like a podcast or something in here. So many different ideas. Anyway, let's not jump to let's rewind, because it's been a while, and I was gonna sit down today and start filming my regular programmed videos, but I decided that there's been so much change that has gone on in my life over the past couple months that I wanted to come on here and tell you everything. I know as well, a lot of what I'm talking about on like my Instagram and stuff isn't really making sense right now, because people are like, wait, you live in Manchester, why are you in Brighton? And I'm like, let me catch you up, because there's been a lot of change that has been happening, and it's been a big reason why I've been slightly MIA. I know I've been uploading still on my channel, but not at the level that we're normally used to. We're used to multiple videos a day, and we're getting like multiple videos a week now. So that's all gonna be changing very soon as well, but I'm just in this very like transitional phase right now. So anyway, let me catch you up to speed. So January of this year, it was actually December, but January of this year, I did something that I didn't know if I was going to share it, but I am, and I'm very excited about it, and I can't believe it. But in December of last year, going into January, I bought my mum and dad a house. I bought my mum and dad a house in Derry, where I grew up, and it has been quite possibly the biggest dream of mine, and it has been the biggest checklist. Like, I'm like, what do I have to do now? Like, my mum and dad are settled, my mum and dad are happy, they have their forever home now. I was able to do that for them. Like, that's it. Like what else do I want? Like, I'm good now. I've like, my parents are settled, my parents are happy, I was able to do something for them. I'm good now, right? So I spent a lot of the start of this year kind of organizing that and helping them with the move. So I was going back and forth from Ireland for a little bit, helping them move from the house that they were in to this new house. And first and foremost, I want to say that I never thought that I would ever be able to buy anywhere. And to be able to buy a house, obviously my mind immediately went to my mum and dad. And just seeing how settled and happy they are in this house is everything to me. And that is everything to me, and I want to say a huge thank you, because it is 100% anyone who has ever clicked on my videos or supported me in any way was the reason I was able to do that. So I cannot thank you enough for being able to be the reason that I was able to do that for my parents, because I will die for my parents. I love them so much, and I try to do everything in the spirit of them, or I try to do everything giving back to them. And they've done so much for me my entire life. They always put me first. And when I got on this crazy journey of doing YouTube, I wanted to bring them along for it. And they supported me so much throughout it all, that they were the first people that I was like, I want to give something back to. So seriously, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much to anyone who has ever supported me, because you were able to allow me to do that for my parents, and that's it. It was 100% this. So thank you so much. And that happened in December. And if you're aware, I moved out of Brighton, where I currently am, cutting to the chase here. I moved out of Brighton in September, October of last year, and I moved to Manchester. Now, was that the worst decision I've ever made in my entire life? Yeah. Being 100% upfront and transparent here, I have never been in such a low mental place as what I was when I realized that I made the worst decision of moving to Manchester. I got incredibly down in the dumps, and then I started getting really angry at myself because I made the move. And I made the move for a multitude of reasons, mainly being safety, because at that time period specifically, there was a lot going on with doxing and swatting, and there are police reports that literally were from that old property that I used to live at. I'm in a completely different area now, but anyway, to do with that property. I stressed and I panicked, and I thought Manchester was the furthest thing away. It was, south and north. I just went there. It was a complete panic decision. I associated Brighton with that time period of being stressed every day during summer, and I wanted to get away from it. And it was not a well thought out decision. It was very rushed, and I regret it profusely. When I moved there, it instantly clicked that I had made a bad decision. I left all of my friends that I'd spent many years meeting. I had just gotten close with my friends, like really close, and then I moved away. And I knew that I made a wrong decision on my birthday. And that was before I even moved to Manchester. I spent a duration of my birthday party crying. Anyone who went to my party will tell you I cried in the arms of my friends. And the reason for that was because I knew in that moment that I had made a bad decision. But I had already ended the Brighton contract and I'd already started the Manchester one, so I had to go forward with it. So I tried to be positive. I looked forward to the move. I was excited to try something different. I do love a bit of challenge, but it was too much of a challenge at a time when I wasn't ready for it, if I'm being 100% honest. I really spiraled when I went to Manchester very, very, very badly. I didn't really leave my apartment much, and when I did, I just had such a disdain for Manchester. Through me making a bad decision, I then took it out on Manchester, and so I spoke so negatively about it. And I don't know how much of this I've ever said online. I think I'm telling it all for the first time here. I also, when I was in Manchester, I just didn't feel that safe. I met a lot of lovely people, and I've met a couple people that I would consider good friends now within that time period. But I spent most of my time when I was living in Manchester traveling or going back down to Brighton or going back to Ireland to the house, because I just didn't want to be there, because when I was there, I was miserable. I was actually miserable. I felt too far out of my depths. I was angry at myself for making a wrong decision, and I was kind of angry at the situation that I was in that kind of I then made a decision to move based on. So then I started feeling really resentful towards myself completely. And so anyway, that happened. And then I ended up getting into a situationship, which was my first ever proper situationship. And it wasn't that deep at all, but it felt deep to me in the moment because I kind of clinged on to the person because I was so miserable in Manchester that I was like, oh, something to look forward to in Manchester. And then that didn't end well. So then I just wanted out of Manchester. Everything mixed in. I got invited one day to a Paris Fashion Week party, and I decided to go. And I went to Paris, and I didn't return to Manchester for a long time. I didn't return to Manchester for, I think, a month. I left that day that I got the invite. I went to Paris, and then I went around Europe. And that's when we did our vlogs around Europe. I was doing everything I could to avoid Manchester, because I would stay in bed all day. And the only things I was doing when I went to Manchester was going out clubbing, because the people that I knew, we weren't doing anything during the daytime. They all worked, and obviously my thing's a little bit different. And so they would, be gone until nighttime, and then they would want to do stuff at nighttime. But in Manchester, I didn't have a lot to necessarily do. I didn't feel that safe walking my dogs. I was walking Dolly one day, and we were at this park, and it was lovely, and someone's big dog came over and really, really, really scared her, and I had to fucking grab her up, and then the person shouted at me, and obviously that's just like a bad pet owner to that other person. But there was another day I was walking Bonnie, and people were going out of their way when we were walking in this thing to stand in her way. And so it was just really fucking weird. I've never experienced it. I don't know if just because it was like a city, whereas I'm so used to like big open beaches and stuff. So then I didn't feel comfortable with my dogs being there. And that happened for a couple weeks. And the apartment that I moved into was not great for the dogs. It looked very different than the photos in terms of sizing. And again, because I rushed into that decision, the apartment was not big enough for 2 dogs and me. And I had Milo as well. It was not big enough for us at all. The balcony was not big enough. The apartment was not big enough. It was not a good decision. So after many hour-long calls breaking down to my parents, the dogs ended up going back to Ireland, and I ended up going back to Ireland with them, and I spent a couple of weeks out there with them. And then I ended up, there was something I did then, I can't remember what it was, but anyway, so the dogs went back to Ireland and have been in Ireland ever since. And I go back now to see them because when I was in Europe, I decided that I was not going to go back to Manchester. You know when you're like miserable and you're like, I'm annoying myself that I'm so down in the dumps right now. So I was starting to piss myself off because of that. So when I was in Europe, I did the trip alone and I did a lot of thinking, and I have 3 options. I have so much to tell you that like, this is like a huge life update. So for New Year's Eve, I decided that I was going to go to Brighton. I was actually going to go to Brighton with the guy I was in a situationship with. And he ended up not coming because I actually uninvited him because I didn't trust him. So, but anyway, I came down to Brighton on my own, and I was really emotional during New Year's Eve because I thought I was going to be spending it with this guy that I was seeing loosely, very loosely. It wasn't that deep at all. Wish him well. And I was so emotional on New Year's Eve, and I had all of my friends around me comforting me. And I just thought, oh my God, if this was in Manchester, I would have no one to like, and I would go back to my apartment and I would just like cry in bed. And so anyways, when I was down in Brighton for New Year's Eve, I decided that I want to move back here and I don't want to go back to Manchester. So the 3 options were, I'm in a contract, telling you everything here. My Manchester contract ends in October. So it was October to October, right? So I'm in that contract until October. I have that apartment in Manchester until October. Anyone want an apartment? I have that apartment contract until October, and I'm paying month by month. So I could buy myself out of the contract, but to do that means that I would have to pay them and then continue to pay the rest of the rent anyway. So I'd be spending more money. So I could either have just stayed in Manchester. I could have continued to pay Manchester but moved back to the house in Ireland, or I could continue paying Manchester and move to Brighton. And it was an easy decision, but a hard one to make, and a very wake-up call moment for me to kind of be a little bit more careful with what I do. And so I ended up looking around Brighton, kind of different areas that I lived before to kind of spice it up a little bit. And I ended up finding an apartment. And the process was really hard to get this apartment because this one is perfect for the dogs. There's a really big balcony, like the size of a garden. And the overall interior space is basically triple what Manchester was. So when I saw this apartment come up, I went, this is perfect for the dogs, which is such a difference from Manchester. So the process to get this was really hard because I have an ongoing tenancy in Manchester. So I applied for this apartment, and then weeks later, like I applied for it in January, and I ended up getting approved for it when I was in Japan, which was only like a couple weeks ago. That's how long it took. It literally took like maybe a month, 2 months to get approved for this apartment because they were like, why are you renting 2 places at once? Which I agree with. So I'm now here. I got my keys 2 days ago. I cried when I moved in. I And it's so stupid, but I feel like I could cry now because I feel like I made such a bad decision moving to Manchester, but I feel like I've rectified it. And obviously, it's not ideal that I'm paying Manchester rent and Brighton rent at the same time. However, I'm really, really, really happy. And it's the first time in a very long time that I genuinely feel very happy. And like I've done everything right, and I'm so excited for Bonnie and Dolly to get here. They're coming very soon. They're gonna love it, and I've just been spending. I came down to Brighton a week before I got my keys, and I stayed in an Airbnb. And every day I was doing dinners with my friends. Every day I was, doing my silly little Brighton, walking on the beach, going and getting ice cream, just like that you stupid shit that I loved. Window shopping, throughout like all the artsy shops. I love Brighton so much, and I learned the hard way that Brighton is where I want to live. It took me moving to Manchester and lasting like 5 months of my contract to knowing that I want to be in Brighton. So, hard lesson, but I'm back and I'm really, really, really happy. And I have such a space to work with now. Like, my bedroom is furnished. I need to furnish my living room, my kitchen, my terrace balcony, my garden, and then this studio room. Like, there's so much to work with. And I'm in a year contract here, which will obviously be up next March. And then Manchester ends in October. So I'm going to come and go from Manchester, obviously, because I have the apartment. And that's what's going to have to happen. I know that there were a lot of people on my YouTube comments and on Twitter that were asking about Manchester, and they were really confused, and they didn't kind of believe the story of, like, I'm renting Manchester and renting Brighton. I agree with you. It's incredibly stupid, and I made a really awful decision. There's no explaining it. Like, it is what it is. It's currently my situation, but I finally feel that I've, like, ended up, like, exactly where I was supposed to be. And damn, I'm really happy. I'm really happy to, like, be back. I'm really happy to know that, like, I sorted it out. I, like, fixed the situation that I put myself in. I learned a lesson along the way when it comes to, like, decisions, sitting on it, making sure you're doing the right thing. I've learned a big lesson. And I'm just really fucking happy to be back, if I'm being honest with you. I got this candle today from my mum and dad. They sent it to me, and it says, "This candle smells like new beginnings. Congrats on the new apartment. Lots of love," from mum and dad. And that's something as well that, like, my mum and dad were obviously, not happy with the situation of me moving in the first place and me moving to Manchester and me now doing, like, the 2 rents and stuff. But they've been so supportive of me the entire time, and my mom was, like, breaking down on the phone with me when I got back to Brighton because she's so happy that I'm back here because I just feel safe and happy here. And I'm really glad that I have, like, a family that, like, even when I make stupid decisions, and in this case, a very, very, very stupid decision with a hard lesson, that they're still willing to, like, be, behind me and help me and just kind of be happy for me. So I'm very, very, very grateful for them. So that is the update on my living situation. I just got back from Japan. I was in Japan for, I think, like 2 weeks with my friend Aoife, and my brother and his girlfriend, and we all had an amazing time. I would love to make, like, a full video talking about Japan. We went to Tokyo, Kyoto, and Osaka, and it was the biggest culture shock of my entire life. I've never experienced anything like it. It was very, very, very interesting. And there were a lot of things I liked about Japan. There were a lot of things I didn't like about Japan. But it's interesting. There's a lot of things about the day-to-day that I'm missing. I don't know if I would go back to Japan. I think I would, but I would want to go on my own, because I loved being with Aoife, and I loved, being with my brother and his girlfriend. But one of my favorite days in Japan, this sounds so awful to say, was whenever I was on my own on the last day and I just walked around Tokyo. I really like solo traveling, so I would try it again like that. But I had the best time with Aoife. Oh my God, I miss her so much. Like even her just being with someone from home, I don't think I could love anyone more than I love her. Like the most platonic love for a friend ever. She is truly fucking incredible and was so amazing to be around, and also was an amazing person to talk to while I was sorting these details of my life out. She was just, I love her so much, and I'm very grateful to have her in my life. But yeah, there's like different things about like, I want to go to a 7-Eleven. Can we get 7-Elevens in Brighton? Please. Otherwise I might move to another fucking city. Or like the way that Japan is very much so like individualized. Like you can go to a restaurant on your own and they have like little booths. You don't really get that much out here and stuff like that. I kind of like the aspect of like how alone everyone was out there. But anyway, that is the update. My friends are coming over in a couple hours and we're going to do a big dinner. Yesterday I went out with, my mom's texting me. Hold on, let me see what she wants to say. She just said, how's your day? I'll message you after, Mom. I went out with my friends last night to the bar and then we went to the club, and it's just been amazing. And I'm going on a date tomorrow. Fun. Just like little things that I used to do in Brighton that I never did in Manchester. I'm just excited to do again, and I'm like really just excited about like the upcoming time. And it's like having dinner with friends. Like I didn't do that once in Manchester, or just I'm excited to like go on walks when I'm here. And I hate to keep saying it, I know it's cringy, but I really am just so happy to be back. And I am aware that people probably picked up on my vibe the last couple months of me kind of being down in the dumps. I never wanted to talk about it because I was in it, so I would have just been complaining about a situation, and like there's nothing me or you could do, so you'd be like, fuck are we supposed to do about it? Which I agree with. But I wanted to talk about overall once I had gotten out of it, and I am out of it now, and I feel that I can come and kind of talk and update you, and there's like a happy ending. So yeah, I'm really grateful. I'm grateful for my friends. I'm grateful for Brighton. I'm grateful for all of you being very patient with me, because Lord, you have been since the start of the year. I really do appreciate that. I felt very disconnected from online, but I felt very disconnected from myself, which is a really cringy thing to say, but I really did feel disconnected from myself, and I just was bothering myself a lot. Like I was pissing myself off, so I didn't want to do anything. But last night I was sitting by the beach after me and my friends went to the club. I said goodbye to everyone, and I walked to the beach, and it was freezing cold. The wind was hitting me from the side. The fucking water was like splashing up. I sat with my coat, and I sat on the beach like this. It was at like 4 a.m., and I sat and this is so weird, but I talked out loud to myself, which is a very crazy thing to admit. And I was just like verbally like doing like a journal entry, and I just feel like the kind of passion that I had coming back, because I have just kind of felt really deflated and I felt really fatigued, and I just feel very different now. And it took me having to take a step back from so many aspects of my life to kind of appreciate things and kind of realize things. And again, it was a hard lesson to learn, but I think it is one that I'm now applying to many aspects of my life. And if anything, I'm grateful for that. So I do just want to say thank you to everyone who was patient with me. I'm aware that there were topics that I've missed. I'm aware that I was late covering things. I'm aware that there's things you want me to cover that I just haven't. I genuinely just have been going through a lot of change, and I feel like I'm almost on the other side of it. The only almost is that I just need to make the move. I don't have any of my stuff in Brighton. It's all in Manchester, so I need to do the move, actually. So I just have a suitcase of like clothes right now, but I need to do the move. So that'll be happening within the next week, hopefully. And then Bonnie and Dolly are going to come out, and then we're so back. I'm going to have my streaming. I'm excited to come on streams. And one of the main reasons I didn't stream was because I just couldn't bear the thought of, like, this is so weird, but I when I stream for long periods of time. And it was not within me to stream for like 10 hours like we would normally do without like talking about stuff that was bothering me. And I didn't want that to be the vibe I was giving across. So I just stopped it. But it is coming back. I'm very excited. I'm very excited to film videos. I'm very excited to have my setup being here. Again, I cannot stress enough, just thank you for waiting. Thank you for being patient. I want to let you know that I went through it. I'm on the other side of it. And I don't know why I'm going to fucking cry, Jesus Christ. I really am happy. And life is good. And I just want to let anyone know, here's my little like really motivational cringy bit at the end of it. I really struggled. Like many days where I just wouldn't leave my bed. And if you're in a rut or you are in a place where you can identify with what I said, and even worse than what I just said, you'd be surprised when you get on the other side of it that you look back on that and go, damn, I got over that. So if you're in that right now, I just want to let you know that I've been there and that it is possible to overcome it, but just be patient. I want to send you all love. I want to let you know that I'm now back. So you will not be getting rid of me. I will see you in my next one. Feels so good to say that. Goodbye, muckers. Mwah!